Caldwell Banker Central West Region. My name is Susan Swift, and I am the District Vice President for the North Shore region here in Chicagoland. I'm honored to be facilitating this session of View from the Top, focusing on open houses. I think we can all agree that our market has shifted and open houses couldn't be a more opportune time to discuss. Before we get started, I have a few requests though. Listen, learn, and engage. This is interactive, so we will be asking you to put your questions and thoughts into the chat, and we will call on you during question time, and I ask you to unmute. So without further ado, I'm thrilled to introduce you to our dynamic panel. Let's begin with Tanya Kurth-Peterson. Tanya is a Minnesota real estate agent who joined CB in 2003. She is excited to have reached one of her goals, which is achieving the International President's Circle Award. She continues to set big goals for herself while keeping her focus on giving her clients the ultimate real estate experience. Next, I would like to introduce you to Sybil Martin and Paulette Edwards, better known as the Me Team. Sybil and Paulette are award-winning broker associates in the Chicago Hyde Park office. They have built an extraordinary reputation through hard work and integrity. Their dedication to superior service and their combined knowledge of the market and evolving technology has enabled them to successfully navigate the market. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Carl Schaefer Younger. Carl's team, the Two Names Group, specializes in providing data-driven real estate services with a consultative personal touch. He built his business by doing, listen to this, over 90 open houses a year for the first 3 years of his career. And since joining CB 1 year ago, he's seen his average price point increase from $475,000 to $725,000, and has helped hundreds of clients in and around the North Dallas-Fort Worth area. Ann Dubray from our Glenview office here in North Suburban Chicago. Having closed out 2,000 homes over the span of 35 years, Ann has become an expert in providing excellent customer service. Her unparalleled market knowledge and ability to treat all parties involved with the utmost respect have led her to outperform her competition. Ann has achieved many milestones, including her membership in CB's prestigious International Premier Club, which recognizes the top 1% of agents. And that has been since 1999. So let's get started. I'm going to ask each of our impressive panelists to introduce themselves and tell us how long you've been in the business, a little bit about your background, and what markets you serve. So let's start with Ann.
Hi, I'm Ann Dubray from the Glenview office on the North Shore of Chicago. I specialize in Glenview, but work all around the North Shore. I also sell in the city, and I am licensed in Wisconsin also, which has been really fun. I have been in real estate for 36 years, and I love open houses. They've been like the main thing that really brought me a lot of business, and I look forward to talking to you guys today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ann, for being here. And let's go on over to the Me Team, Sybil and Paulette.
Hi, my name is Sybil Martin, and of course, this is Paulette Edwards sitting next to me. We've been in the business probably combined over 50 years. And we sell on the city south side of Chicago, but we go wherever our clients want us to go. We believe in the old adage that Coldwell Banker had was anywhere, anytime, and any place. Open houses have been one of our everyday life things that we do for selling properties.
I would agree. Our background is in design. Sybil's background is in architectural and interior design, and my background is in fashion design and interior design. So we've been partners for over 20 years. We love what we do, and we're really excited to be here today.
Well, thank you, ladies. And let's go on over to Tanya. Tanya, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. I am out of the Minnesota area and officing out of Eden Prairie. Shout out to my Eden Prairie agent friends. And so I started real estate in 2003 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and right away joined Coldwell Banker there. And it was like 2010, I went back to school and got my master's and started a life coaching, results in life coaching business. And then rejoined Coldwell at the Eden Prairie office in Minnesota. And there I just really kind of combined my skills with working with clients, developing relationships, understanding what their goals were, and helping them achieve those real estate goals. So it was really all about the relationships. And I think open houses just tied right into that because it's the best opportunity to be out there, have kind of a storefront and engage the public and be able to build that rapport quickly. So that has been a big piece of my business. Just in the last year, I formed a little team of 3, Boost real estate group. And so shout out to Dan and Kristen in Eden Prairie. We're having a lot of fun and really just kind of keeping those systems moving and growing on them and helping each other, you know, just be better and be the best for our clients. So it's been a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thank you. And last but not least, Carl, how about a little bit about your background, how long you've been in the business, and what areas you serve? Oh. Carl, we can't hear you.
Technology.
Yes. Still. No, you know what, Carl, let's come back to you. If you don't mind, you can play around with your audio and let's kind of dive into our first question. And let's get Carl back on as quickly as we can. So Tanya, let me start with you. Just a simple question, like what do you consider a successful open house? What's your end game when you go to do an open house?
Well, I mean, obviously traffic is great. You know, you want to get people in the door, but really the ultimate goal is connections. So either the connections once you're in the door and have them coming in the house, or the connections you make using that open house for, you know, marketing and exposure. So my ultimate goal, obviously I want to sell the house. If it's my listing in particular, my responsibility is to my seller. And so I want to get that home sold. But then secondary is to use that exposure to pick up clients. Yeah.
Okay, great. What about the Me team? When you look at doing an open house, what do you consider a successful one and what is your end goal?
Well, it's always successful when you sell it. That's kind of number one. So if you can get someone to come through that really sees the home, sometimes clients come to your open house and they don't have their agent with them, and they see it, they like it, they go back and tell their agent, and then their agent reaches out to you and you're able to sell the property from that open house. And then certainly, like Tanya said, to pick up buyers and sometimes other sellers.
Fantastic. Anne, anything
Well,
to
yeah,
add in terms
to
of your
piggyback on
goals?
that, to me, a successful open house is your goal is to expose that home to as many people as possible. And also, if you sell it, that's wonderful. And a lot of times they do sell at open houses or thereafter. But the biggest thing I think with open houses is for me, it's great because I have a very deep voice and everything. And being on the phone isn't where I've built most of my business. I do much better in person. I think it's, you don't know who's walking in the door. They can be a really, I have a lot of sellers that walk in the door and they want to see how you show that house, how you work. So I think you're being interviewed a lot of times at open houses by sellers and you don't even know it. I also think it's wonderful to just, build a buyer base to work with. And they see that you have the knowledge of that house as well as that community, and that they, want to work with you. So it is to sell the house, but it's also just to, where else do you get to be with, 12 or 8 people that really are out looking at houses in person?
Mhm.
Fantastic, thanks. Carl, do we have you on audio yet? No? Still can't hear you. All right, we will keep working on that. Let's start with the Me team. Tell us about one of your most successful open houses, or maybe an unusual open house that you may have run, just to give the audience a little idea of the kinds of things you might do.
Well, we are really big on event-driven open houses. And we have had a lot of success. We've done at Christmas time, we've done toy drives, we've done turkey giveaways at Thanksgiving. Recently, we have a house in Beverly, and it's near Rainbow Ice Cream. And that is like a nostalgic ice cream shop here in Chicago. Everybody knows about it. Everybody loves it. And what they did was for ice cream week, they had a special contest where they did a post, and if you reposted what they had on Instagram, you were entered into a contest. Well, what we did was we partnered with them to buy rainbow ice cream cones to give away. And we called it the Rainbow Ice Cream Cone Giveaway Open House. And we put that in their reposts. So then what they did, which our millennial teammates, they're helping us with Instagram and TikTok, they pinned my posts. So that meant that every time someone went to their Instagram or post, our post was #1. So we had a ton of people show up. We gave away a lot of rainbow ice cream. We ate a lot of rainbow ice cream that weekend, but we had more people at that open house than we have ever had. But we try to do fun, interesting, community related type of events. We've done coat drives. We've done book bag and luggage drives for foster children. So sometimes we try to do things that are charitable and give back to the community. We try to do at least one event like that every year. And then we do some other fun things, whatever our imagination allows us to come up with. That's what we do for an open house.
Love those ideas. Fantastic. How about you, Tanya?
Well, I mean, I just so strongly believe in doing open houses. I had such success from doing them. Sometimes not measurable because, you know, you build the relationships and they grow over time. I've tried to measure as much as I can, but I know, like, since I started tracking in 2018, I've had 25 sales just from doing opens, and
Oh.
9 of them were from doing other agents' open houses.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, that to me, like, if especially if you're new in the business, my gosh, what a great way to establish yourself and grow your database. But I would say success stories prior to COVID, I had this little $200,000 townhome, and I listed it, put it on the market on a Friday, and then did an open house on Saturday and had multiple offers on it. I picked up a listing and 2 buyers.
Wow.
I ended up from that doing, instead of $200,000 volume, it was 1.3 million.
Wow.
So, you know, opens definitely work. But then more importantly, or maybe not, just as important, is over time now I've had residual business from those opens, and I've done another 3 transactions and an additional $1.2 million from that same open house. So if you
Wow,
can track
the
it,
power of the open house, right? And how
I mean,
to
yeah, if
leverage it.
you can track what you're doing, it works and it makes sense. So I highly recommend that. But I also in 2021 did an open house, and I've shared this like within our own office, and it's not a unique story. A lot of agents have stories like this where, you know, 2021, there 2022 even, where there was so much buyer demand and not enough inventory. And so you would have these crazy open houses, and you would have to manage them because of COVID. So I don't know, like the other markets, how you all handled COVID, but you know, obviously we were pretty shut down at the beginning of 2020, and then gradually started to have opens at our discretion and how to manage that as best we could. But by 2021, we were having opens and there was a lot of traffic because of the demand. And so an interesting one was, and a great success story was, I had this open house and I had to bring people into the garage where they would wait and social distance. And then we'd bring them in. I even had my husband there doing doorman business, right? Like, so he'd bring them in and then they'd have to register right there at the entrance. And then we'd count shoes. So when they'd leave, then we could bring more people in. It was crazy, but we literally had at that, so 2 open houses, I had like 53 groups through in those 2 open houses. And I know that because every single person had to register coming in there. So I was able to track it.
Fantastic.
So that's a great success story too, except for I prefer a smaller open because I really didn't get to build any rapport or have good conversations with those people coming through. It was just too much. So It's okay to have, like, you know, 3 to 5 groups through, because you actually really can do what you're there to do, and that's build a relationship with them.
Cool. Thank you. And we can talk a little bit as we go on about follow-up and things like that. So Anne, tell us about, I know you've done quite a few in your day, so.
Well, the one thing I do, which is great, I'm a breast cancer survivor of 13 years. So every year in October, I do a big thing. So everybody, for each person that comes through my open houses, and people in the office help me, and I do have, I give $10 to breast cancer. So I do it every year. And like 1 year I gave like $4,300, you know,
Wow.
another year it was like $3,500. But it's funny, after a while, people, you know, we put an ad in the paper saying that we're doing that and everything. But the cool thing about it is that just people come and they go, I'm not even looking, but I just want to come. So for your drive for that. So you can link it to that. But as far as special open houses, I think it really comes into play when you have really special listings and you want to do really cool brokers opens, you know? And I think that brokers opens can be as important. And I've done, you know, I had a listing in Lake Geneva that I invited everybody up there and I gave away Turkish towels, and I had like 130 people come to view it. I had another listing like 20 years ago and we had a piano player and we sold, it was a builder's house and I had 13 listings at a subdivision he was doing there too. And I mean, we worked on it for so long, but this is years ago when no one really did event open houses. We had 232 people come through. But a lot of those kind of things is really working it up front with invitations and follow-up. And things have changed, I think, over the years with open houses, because, you know, I think a lot of people think it's not important because you have pictures. But what I find is when you do these Sunday open houses, they always come in and go, oh my gosh, this room is so much bigger or so much different than the picture. So I do think it just gives people the opportunity to get out there and look.
Great, thank you. Carl, let's try maybe the third time's the charm. No. No, still can't hear you. All right, let's move on. So let's talk a little bit about, and we've touched on this a little bit, but how do you feel that open houses have enhanced your business?
Where do you want to go?
Start
I'll go.
in.
Okay. You want me to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? I don't think I would be half as successful without them. I think I built my entire business on open houses. When I first started in 1986, my broker told me, go get a gray suit and a black suit, and you're going to work 2 open houses every Sunday for the rest of your life. And that's what I did. And the one thing I can honestly say, I look a lot at the people in our office, and the people that are the most successful in our office, probably the top 10 people, we have one thing in common, and that's we all worked every single solitary Sunday, whether you had or Saturday, whatever your open house day is. And whether we all have that thing, because I mean, I know because a lot of them started after me and they would work on Sunday for me. But I think that's the one common denominator of a top producer is that you start out there, get out there and meet people in person. You know, I raised 3 little kids. I wasn't Jimmy's mom. They saw you as a realtor when they came into these open houses.
Yes.
And it's just amazing how much, you know, it changes. But I don't think that if you tour on your tour day and know your market, whether you have a buyer to put in your car or not, and you work on Sunday at open houses, you'll make it in real estate. You know, those are the 2 days that I think go out every Wednesday or whatever you tour at, see the houses in person. Because every time I go, when I come out, I go, wow, I'm going to call these people because they didn't think they like, you know, they eliminated it because of this. And you're so much more excited if you see the physical property. So I can't say enough about it. And it's been weird because the last couple of years we haven't had to work. I mean, I had more Sundays off in the last 2 years than I'll probably ever have in my life. But it was a different way to work. But I will tell you one thing, and this is the truth. At the last downturn, which we might be heading into, I had 29 listings that year. 22% of the buyers that bought those 29 listings saw the house for the first time at my open house. And when the market gets slow, people kind of quit working. You don't get many showings. I remember one month I had like all these listings, like 3 showings out of all those listings. You got to go find your buyer yourself. But 22 out of 29 listings, these people bought them because I kept working on Sundays and exposing my listings, because, you know, people kind of get lazy. The rates go up and they're like, oh, I think I'll wait. Those people that were looking, they're not waiting. They're running around on Sundays or Saturdays, whatever your day is. And if they see it, then they're going to ask their agent to show it. Now, I didn't sell all those myself. I think we sold 4 of them, you know, myself or Eileen. But I will tell you, the biggest thing was that 22 of those people saw it for the first time on a Sunday. So if there's ever a time to do it, as the market gets slow, do it. If 3 people come in and 1 buys it, hallelujah, you know?
Right.
So
Fantastic.
that's true.
Thanks, Annie. And Sybil and Paulette,
Well,
you want to weigh in on that?
we agree with both of our associates that spoke. I mean, the bottom line is we do open house. How many days of the week? we work 7 days a week. That's just what it is. Now we're known to do new construction development, open houses. We do resales. And like she said, it's about getting your face out there. Like you said, sellers are interviewing you. So you never know who that person is. We get a lot of business. Our network, where we get our business from, is referrals. And those referrals come because we're always working. We're at open houses. They know that we're trying to get their property sold. So they know our work ethics. And that's very key in real estate. You know, we have a lot of new people that start at Coldwell Banker. And, you know, I think they're influenced by the TV shows. All of these real estate shows make it come on and look like they just walk in and they get the buyer. That's not real estate, you know? So it takes, you have to have systems in place so you can get the lead capturing. You have to follow up. You have to, this is a business. It's not for fun. And people need to understand that. I think a lot of people underestimate our field because they think it looks easy. All they see is close. You got another closing, but they have no idea what it took to get to that final.
Absolutely.
Last night, Sybil was mopping.
Yeah, I was mopping,
Yeah.
you know, because my client felt like the stories, no real estate story is the same on any of these transactions that we talk about. And, you know, I have a soft spot for my older clients and they can't do. So guess what? I'm going to do for them. And because of that, even that, you get referrals, you know?
Right.
So you just never know where your blessings or you, like you said, your hidden gems are. You have to do that. You have to perform. You have to show somebody that you care.
Absolutely.
It's not just business. You know what I mean? You have to care. It's not just about the dollar. It's, you know, it's all of those things together. Right.
Absolutely. Tanya?
No, I just totally agree with what you're saying because sometimes I feel like I'm crazy and like the things that I do, you know, to go the extra mile. So it's so great to hear when other agents talk about those mopping stories and everything, because we need to sometimes step up and do those things. And, in the end, it feels good and it gives us purpose, but really it does help us with our referral business because, man, I tell you what, action talks. So I love that. And I also agree about the image that's created when you're doing all these opens and you're really busy. Because when you're also using your opens and you're marketing all of that on social media and everything, you just look really busy, and absolutely you're going to pick up business because of that. So, I just agreed with what you were saying about that too, because, man, I take full advantage of when I have an open house. Like, it is all over social media and I don't care. And I put it on Facebook groups and whatever, and I personalize it to not feel so salesy, like I'm doing them a favor by letting them know and a little bit of conversation. But I've picked up business because they think, wow, look how busy she is. Look at everything she's doing. And then of course you want to make sure that marketing's polished because that's the impression that you're leaving. So anyway, I just wanted to agree with that.
Great.
I don't remember what the
Okay.
question was.
That's cool. You answered it. Carl, we're going to try again.
Any luck?
Yes.
Yay,
Oh,
thank
my
you.
goodness. Well,
Exciting.
Welcome.
Sorry about all that.
That's
They're good.
okay. It all ends well, right? So give us just I want the audience to kind of, I gave a little bio about you, but give us like a 30-second, what markets you serve, what your background is.
Sure. Yeah, so I was a high-tech guy in the Silicon Valley for 30 years prior to real estate, and I aged out. The average VP of sales is about 45. And I did 7 startups in the last 15 years before real estate, with none of them giving me any Facebook-like money. So I said, if the last startup goes out of business, and they owed me $23,000 when they did, I was going to start for my real estate test immediately. So I got qualified or got my license as quickly as possible. And because we moved from Santa Cruz, California to Frisco, Texas, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a sphere. My kids were older. There really wasn't anything that I could rely on. We didn't have any organizations we belonged to. So that's when I did 90 open houses a year. So I was doing them all over. So I've got kind of a mental map that's a lot different of the DFW area because of that. And then I'd encourage, one of the soft benefits, if you will, when you do open houses, you're doing live script practice. So for people that are just starting out, interacting with strangers in a house is just, you have to do it, right? So you start to get more and more honed in on what language choices and what options to use. So like I developed over time, and I'll leave it at this, a closer line, because my peeps tend to be busy professionals or business owners. So I'll just say, I really enjoyed speaking with you. I found that people that own their own businesses or tend to be busy professionals really enjoy working with me because I am and have been both. And at that point, that's generally when they register. So I'm not looking, and I don't force registrations. I can go and open a house with 0 registrations. I think somebody else said it. What I'm looking for is a substantive conversation where by the time we're done, they've already selected me as their agent, and they tell me everything. What's your time period? How much money? Is it a buy sell? So my database is like 850 Mets. And I just finished my 6th year. So it's a different quality of database.
Cool. That's fabulous. Thank you. So let's segue that right into the more specifics or the logistics of how you do open houses. Sybil and Paulette, you want to kind of take us through, what's your prep and what collateral, if any, what materials do you use when you're doing an open house?
Well, we do believe that it should be systems in place. And really, we have a 5-step checklist, okay? And the most important thing, like our other fellow uh, person said, is that you have to have your graphics, you have to have that polish, because that does reflect your business, your brand, Coldwell Banker, for a lack of a better word. So, you have to get your social media presence correct. You have to tie that in with a landing page, because ultimately you are trying to capture leads. Okay. From that, you go to what Coldwell Banker offers, the custom or concierge package,
Mhm.
which, is another branding. You get out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and then it goes into the advertising, like Facebook, Instagram. You look at LinkedIn, those are business professionals that can buy properties. Okay. And then we go into prospecting, which we call fishing. Sometimes social media, you can get it out there, but it's other ways, such as door knocking, taking flyers to the restaurants in your neighborhood, getting acclimated with all the business professionals in the area as well, so they can know you. So your name gets out there as well. And then ultimately it's showing time, which that leads to the open house. Okay. After that, the most important thing is follow up.
And
Hmm.
being on time for the open house. And that doesn't mean if the open house starts at 1, you get there at 1. I worked in retail for 18 years, and actually I was a manager for J.C. Penney and a buyer for them. And if the store opened at 10, we got there at 7, because there was so many things you needed to do, so that, and at 5 minutes to 10, there was somebody at every entrance. So simultaneously at 10 o'clock, the doors opened everywhere in that store, so customers could come in. So, and then you're not frazzled and, trying to figure things out. So if you get there early, that helps you as well be more relaxed and ready to engage with your public. And then the neighbors see this.
Mhm.
And that's important too, because then they come around, they come to the open houses. Like I think you said earlier, Susan, once people see you there, that's a way to get future business, because they like how you ran their neighbor's open house. And, definitely then they'll say, well, I want you to work, for me.
Fantastic. How about you, Tanya? How do you prep and kind of what collateral do you use when you run your open houses?
Well, I completely agree that it's all about systems, because if you're going to have that as a chunk of your business's open houses, you want to have systems down so that you're just doing the same thing every time and it works and you know how to tweak it and everything. But, I'm just in complete agreement. And I don't know which one of you is Sybil or Paulette, because it just says Sybil and Paulette. So I don't know which of you was just talking, but I completely agree with everything you've said so far. But for me, like the process that I've been doing it for years the same way. And so as soon as, I get a listing, it's in that sales strategy timeline of the open houses. And I will put 3 weeks of open houses and then a property repositioning appointment after that. So I just set expectation, even in a market where things are moving in a weekend. We'll talk about that, you know, and the activity they can expect on the weekend, but we still schedule that out because I think it's very important for sellers to prepare for that potential. But so then we've got those dates already set on the opens. And so then it's setting up on MLS, obviously scheduling the appointment. So I'll just like get into the meat of it. So get the appointment set and then get in there and start working on your marketing pieces because you want to start putting it out there to social media. And so I would say, you know, create your flyers, use Canva or PicMonkey to create a fun like GIF, you know, like an animated little thing. So you've got your flyer, but maybe the words kind of do something fun, or the pictures, you know, zoom in or out and use it. It's super easy, and you can get a free version of either of these and use that to do an email blast to let agents know you've got your open house coming up. Use it in your social media post. And then I create a Facebook event. And so in my business page, I'll create a Facebook event for the open house, and I will select a photo that's like catching, you know, eye-catching, whatever, not just like the front of the house or whatever, something that really stands out, like in the kitchen, or there's a pool in the backyard or a fun bathroom. And then I always do a little description on it, but I put a link in there every time. And I, you know, and it was like the girls were saying about having that landing page. You want to be able to grab these leads. So I always direct people to my website. And so if you use Moxie website now, you can go right on the front page and you can type in the address of where you're doing your open, and it'll open that page up for you. And so this is great if it's not your listing. So if you're doing an open house for somebody else, you can put that address in on your website, and then it'll come up and it'll have all your stuff along the side of it. It will look like your own listing, and use that link in all your social media marketing so that you can drive traffic to your website, and then you can start collecting those leads. The other thing that I would say, because I do some, I don't know what you guys do, but I have done boosts, but I have found that I get a lot more activity by putting my open houses on Facebook groups. And so I've been playing with that a little bit, and I would love to hear everyone else's opinion on that. But I think that's a great way to be a little bit more targeted and specific, because sometimes I don't know what the heck they're doing with those boosts, and you get the weirdest comments on there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I do that. And then once that's done, then, you know, it's the work to, so I'm get that marketing going on social media, and then getting the email out to agents. I totally maximize on the tools and technologies that we have with Coldwell through Desk. And I know we're going to talk about that later, so I don't need to like throw that in right now, but we have Prospect Square, we have Moxie, oh my gosh, my brain just went dead here. Moxie,
Home
Spotter.
well,
Home
Home
Spotter boost.
Spotter, yep. I'm thinking of the Moxie marketing that we do. But anyway, so that's all set up to do your open houses and everything. And then also Prospect Square, and you can actually create open houses on there, you know, do some fun marketing. So we have everything we need to like really create polished marketing. So then once you're done with that, for me, I then, you know, get the flyers ready to go for the actual physical stuff of the open. And then I do my registration on JotForm. And so I use my iPad, and then it's getting a rider on my for sale sign that says when it's open, like Saturday 1 to 3 or whatever. So that can start people drive-bys recognizing that. And then the directional signs. So that's the prep work that I do.
Great, thanks. Oh my gosh. Ann,
Sorry.
anything to add?
Well, the only thing I can add that, you know, I do all that kind of stuff too. And what I also find is that I use listing concierge for every single solitary listing I have. I don't care if it's 300, 3 million, whatever. I think everybody deserves say marketing. I think it's fabulous. But the one thing, the couple things that I do all the Facebook, everything you guys are talking about. So much is the prep for an open house. I'll just say that signage is very important. If there's two ways to get there, if you want more people, set it up both ways to get people there. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, when I'm really psyched to sell something, I always put up a few more signs. So if you just do that, you know, religiously, that's good. The only other thing I would say, and I learned this from Sean Rogstad, who worked every Sunday for me, but what he would do, and I do it now too. I know what's open that day. I pull up an open house sheet. So if they don't like where they're at, it's something information that I'm giving them. Like, oh, you know, there's also another one 2 blocks over that if this is your price point, or they'll say, oh, this is too much for me. And I go, what's your price point? I'll know what's open. So I'm giving them information as to where else they can go. The other thing, like if the house is 500,000, I'll, you know, pull up a 1-line sheet. What's on the market from 450 to, you know, to 600. So if this house doesn't work for them, you know, you have that right there that, well, you know, there's also this. Have you had a chance to see that? If you offer them more information than just where you're at, you tend to, you know, they call you back a little bit easier. And Sean did this, like he would like pick the 3 best houses. Let's say the house is 500. He'd pull the 3 best competing houses, and he would have those listing sheets right there and offer to show it to them. And a lot of, you know, as I say, he built this whole business on open houses also. So I think it's a good thing to have that. And I think it's a good thing to at least have one, you know, thing that tells what's open that day, because people appreciate it.
I love that. And what a way to convert buyers, right?
Yeah.
To start working with you right away is to give them the information and to offer to show them other properties in the area. That's fabulous. Okay, Carl, anything to add? You've done obviously a ton of open houses. So what kind of prep and collateral can you add?
One thing I would add is it's kind of like grocery stores and any other retail. Site selection is really important because I do a lot of open houses for other agents. So I prefer high density population areas just because that in and of itself is going to give you a higher chance of your signs working to drive traffic. I also try to, because you have control generally over what houses you want to hold open if the agent trusts you and loves giving you open houses. And then inside the house, what I'm trying to do is establish real strong credibility. So I will run comps on this house and explain how the house that they're in fits with all other things in the neighborhood. I have the July luxury listing really nicely bound and everything when I'm doing luxury. The most recent one's July. I've also got a macroeconomic forecast from Independence Title, his key economist. So if I find a data geek, I will give them, this is like 70 pages and they totally geek out. It's perfect. So I'm just trying to, in the course of this, my goal mentally is when you walk out of here, you'll be saying, this is the best agent I've ever been around. So that's kind of my mindset going in, and just come from contribution and constantly give things. And I've also lived in a lot of different areas, so it helps for our Chicago group. I used to live at Grayson Broadway, 2 blocks from Wrigley Field. For Minneapolis, I had an office with AC Nielsen off of Wayzata Boulevard. So having lived in a lot of different places, I can usually find an area of commonality to talk about as an icebreaker, which is very helpful.
Cool, fabulous, great ideas. So that was a great segue. You mentioned how you get some title information. So what about our CB collateral resources? What about using our mortgage guaranteed rate and our title services? Do any of you incorporate those into your open house? Let's start with Sybil and Paulette.
We use Natasha like she's our best friend. I believe that.
And Natasha is from where?
Natasha
For the audience.
Robinson, and she's at Guaranteed Rate Infinity. And I think is part of the marketing materials that you must have at the open house. I believe that you need to have your rate sheets there. And I also like the idea that you said to have the other listings where the other open houses are. But most importantly, sometimes you have a property that's not that easy to sell. And to have the comps there to justify your pricing or to understand what you could do with the after repair value, those are all key factors. And that's what Natasha's company does. She does 203s when you have to do work to the property. You have to have some content or some knowledge or something that you're bringing to the consumer besides just turning on the lights and showing the house.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the real estate resource for all potential buyers. Wouldn't you agree, Paulette?
I agree 100%. And many times we've had Natasha or someone from her team actually at our open house, because if people do have finance questions, no better person to ask than that expert. So she will be there, or her teammates will be there. They can talk to someone off to the side, get their information, and then later on meet with them privately. And now you've established a relationship with the lender, with yourself. And so that really helps to make sure that your deal closes.
Fantastic. Anybody else? Anybody use any particular resources, CB resources, or any of our partners in a fun and unique way that you want to share?
The rate sheets are extremely important, and John Goldman and Matt Kennedy will let us have them. The rate sheets really help, I think, the people. And if they do like it, it's nice to take one, and they know if they put this much down, what it'll be. It becomes a little bit more real for the client, And again, listing concierge, I think is the marketing department. Your marketing materials are so lame in the houses right now. I mean, I show properties day in and day out. A lot of people don't barely even have anything. And I know the world's going towards just everything, or is there, everything's online. And a lot of people don't take them, but a lot of people that do like it take them, maybe just the wife is there, or maybe, their partner or whatever wasn't there. So, they can bring a brochure and take it home and show it to them, because people had to move quick this year. They liked it. There wasn't a lot of time to think about it. So I think having, the marketing materials as well as the rate sheet, is awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's so great to have a partner with you at your open houses. And what better than to have an expert that can be a one-stop shop then, around the mortgage piece of it. And people have so many questions right now about what's going on with interest rates and everything. And so I completely agree about that. But I think even beyond that, it's really nice to have a partner there because for safety reasons, is a wonderful feeling to just have someone else with you. And if someone's going one way and another person going another way, it's really a good best practice, I think. And then on top of that, it's great for conversation because then you can really do a lot of good back and forths and that person can help you build rapport as well. I know that if I don't have a lender with me or someone with me, I'll have my husband come and walk the house at the beginning, make his presence known, maybe leave a pair of shoes at the door. And then at the end, he'll come back too, because I feel like that's when you're the most vulnerable, is at the beginning and at the end of open houses. So I think if you have a second person with you, especially a great lender that's a resource as well, I think that's important. And I was trying to remember Moxie Impress. Moxie Impress is what I was trying to think of. But Moxie Impress is excellent because you can do like a whole marketing kit. And, you know, it's free within desks. So like that, you're going to get your postcards, you get e-postcards, you get your open house flyers, like all of that. And you just put the address in and it generates it for you. So I've used those open house pieces as well, which are great for both online or there's like so many things you can do, whether you're using Prospect Square, Listing Concierge, or Moxie Impress. We should definitely have polished pieces inside of our open houses. And one thing I wanted to add about when you are talking numbers and really looking polished in your open houses about your pricing and what else is out there. You know, when you get your listing, you've done a presentation to that seller. So you have that, you can tweak that. And if you're using like Moxie presentation, those are really beautiful. And so if you have that on your laptop, you can scroll through and show them comps, what's active, what's recently sold, and it's all right there, interactive. You can click, push, you know, on the pictures and it, you know, pops up and people there, you know, I think it impresses everyone as well. So.
Fantastic. We only have about 4 or 5 minutes and I wish we had more time because you guys are such an incredible wealth of information, but I do want to get to some of the questions. Lisa D has a question for Carl. If Lisa D is there and wants to ask. I think she was specifically asking Carl how you got 90 open houses in a year, or how do you actually go about getting to sit open houses if they're not your own listings?
So when I first got into the business, I was with Keller Williams Plano, and I refused. When I went into the office, I made a commitment to myself to never just leave. So I would walk around the interior of the office and introduce myself to as many agents as I ran into, and would personally tell them about my open house capabilities and strategies and all that. So because I was new, I needed to get people that would trust me with stuff. So once I got the reputation of being able to do them well and executing at a high level, and that office had 469 agents. So you can imagine that the possibility of houses, you know, that people need open house hosts. So it was really establishing the credibility initially. And now I've got like favorite agents here at Caldwell. And, you know, when I go back to looking at site selection, you know, I use, if there 4 lanes of traffic each way is a great predictor. And I'll use up to 20 signs, and they're really, they're like 2 feet by 1 feet that have my image on them. Because you have to understand, everything you're executing external to the house is a listing strategy, not just a traffic driver, because of all the neighbors that are seeing you. So if you execute with that in mind, you also have the potential of getting additional listings from people in and around the house.
Fabulous. And I think we have time for one more quick question. Lori Rowe, did you want to ask your question?
I put it in the comments early on, but what I find is we promote it on Zillow, Realtor.com, the MLS, social media, LinkedIn, and we get very low attendance in our market. So I'm not sure, yeah, once we get the warm bodies with a pulse in the door, we can work them, but we need to get more people through the door. So either our market is radically different than some of the panelists' markets, or we're not marketing it or promoting it the right way. So tell me, we could send it to Prospect Square, and I guess we could do a giveaway, but I'm just looking for how do we get more attendees?
Was it more this year,
Lori?
Lori, you felt that way?
Always. It's
Where are
always
you,
our
Lori?
market.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
What market are
really
you in, Lori?
frustrating. What?
Your market, where are you?
We're in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Barrington,
Mhm.
Lake Zurich, Deer Park, and we just don't get, and I have a listing very close to an easy access road where there'd be tons of drive-bys, and we're just getting really low attendance. And I feel bad putting new agents there for 2 to 3 hours and they get one person and it's a nosy neighbor. And I guess I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out where these crowds are coming from that you're all collecting.
Well,
Well,
it's not
one
so
thing-
much crowds, Lori. This is the thing. Are you doing it consistently?
We
Like if
have
you-
been all summer. We've been doing it every weekend.
And you get
And-
1 or 2 people each time,
Yep.
then you're fine. If you get 1 or
Yeah.
2 people, you know what? Somebody there is either looking to buy or looking to sell. I always say, it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah.
I agree.
It only takes one.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Lori,
That's it.
one other thing, when I was talking to Paulette and Sybil before, we started this today, I was saying, Michael, my son who works with me, my listing manager, always says, if you want to have a new listing, you want to get the city people, do it on Saturday. We have always kind of thought Sunday was our open house day, but when you do it on Saturday on a new listing, the city people, Saturday's their day. And
We've been
Michael would
doing
say-
Saturdays just as often as Sundays. So I think we just, I don't know if it's just our market is anemic or.
I think it's the mindset. You go to the open house, not, it's okay if you don't get a good turnout, because all that marketing you're doing to get that open house. So you get new agents doing these opens, don't feel bad for them because they're doing all this marketing and looking busy. They're getting exposure. This is fantastic for them. And there's the potential that someone could come in and they can be able to build their database that way, or better yet, have a transaction. So I think it's exposure for the seller too. So you just never know.
And like someone
guys,
said also really quickly, you're learning how to hone your skills. You're learning how to close. You're learning how, if you've got people coming and you're not getting anything, then maybe we need to look at what they're saying or how they're saying it. I never will forget, I had an open house when I was new. It was another agent that was going to work for me. They called me at the last minute, said they couldn't do it. It was pouring down rain. I had one client come through. That client did not buy that house, but I ended up selling and buying with that client $3 million worth of real estate. So between him buying and selling and buying and selling. So like Carl said, it only takes one. And you just got to be
guys,
consistent.
This is such an incredible conversation and we are over time. You can see that this open house topic is a hot topic. I encourage you to continue to discuss this in your offices, continue to mastermind around it. And please check out the chat because there's some great tips in there, great information. I want to thank our incredible panel. We could probably go on for at least another hour. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for the graciousness of your time. And to our audience, thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. I want to tell you quickly, our next session is September 20th. Extremely excited to announce that our executive VP of the Central West region, Greg Rand, will be facilitating, and we have an all-star panel of speakers who will be talking about teams: Steve Euler, Travis Robertson, and Chris Leader. You will not want to miss this next one. Thank you all so much for being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
call you, Lori. I want to sit one of those $1 million open houses.
Right.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
guys.